With our county commissioners today, brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. All three county commissioners on the line with us this morning, and Commissioners Chairman Mike Keith, let's start with you. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Todd?
Wonderful, wonderful, and it's good to have you with us here today. So, Indiana County opening up a little bit more, it seems, every day with folks moving about. And I guess my first question to you is, are you satisfied with the way things have gone?
Yeah, so far it seems like everything, the operations are getting back into play. Businesses are opening up. It's nice to see people out and about, and actually went to a couple of restaurants already, and it's nice to actually see people joining and gathering and eating again together.
Yeah,
a little different, but at least the people are in the businesses.
Absolutely. It is good to be able to get out and stretch your legs a little bit at least. So what are some of the things on the commissioner's agenda, some of the things that you're looking at from a county level?
Well, actually, we're trying to get back to somewhat of a normal schedule for us, and things as far as the virus has, gone down considerably. We're still monitoring it, but we're kind of getting back to our day-to-day operations, to what we intended to get into since the first of the year. And one of the biggest things on our plate that we went into in January and actually started working on was the county's budget. And we're pretty heavy and hot on that right now, that issue.
Well, absolutely, and folks are wondering about that budget, how badly it's been affected by the COVID-19, if it needs to be reopened and revisited. So what are some of the conclusions that you've come to?
Well, really, we've applied for a lot of the state and federal grants that are actually covering our costs, so we're actually able to continue to operate within our budget. But the thing about what we were faced with before COVID-19 even started was the balancing of the budget going into 2021, and we knew we were going into it, again with a deficit. So we started planning to try to work with that deficit and in different manners so we could get a 2021 budget balanced.
Mm-hmm. Let's bring your colleagues in and call upon Commissioner Shireen Hess. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Todd.
It's
nice
good
to be here.
It's good to have you with us here today. I haven't had a chance to talk with you since the election, so I do want to get into how that went and all of those issues. But Commissioner Keith was talking about the budget, so let's start there and get your perspective.
Well, it is going to be a tough year. It was already there were already some concerns about the budget, but we are going to be receiving from the Federal CARES Act funding sum of money to help alleviate some of the concerns, and so those kinds of things are happening now, and we're in the middle of assessing where what the damage actually is, and give a shout out to our department heads for really working at their end on where they can make cuts without cutting services and, things like that, and trying to align ourselves with all of our partners to figure out, where we can merge, find out where maybe duplication of activities are happening and try to, be very smart about how we operate in the next year to 2 to 5 years, so that we can still make investments, because we don't want to cut services and stop investing in the growth in our plans in Indiana County. But we do have to be very mindful of the costs and how much of a return on those investments we're going to get.
It reminds you of putting together a really complicated business deal. If this falls in place and this falls in place and that over there works and so does this over here, why all of these things are going to come together and make something really good. Unfortunately, there's so much uncertainty across the board that it's really hard to make plans, isn't it?
It is, no question. But we have a lot of pretty smart people working on it, and we always invite the public, the citizens of Indiana County, to contact us with their ideas. And it's a team effort for sure.
Yeah.
So I feel very confident we're going to get there. It's going to take some real real dedication to it, though.
We always do turn to you because of your background when we think about elections, and we just went through one a couple of weeks ago. And, some other areas are having difficulty getting all of the mail-in ballots counted. What's Indiana County's situation?
To my knowledge, all of our mail-in ballots have been counted. The provisionals have been counted. I believe absentees and even if there were any late mail-ins, which I believe there were very few, if any, that goes into a database, and the state does keep track of those kinds of things. But for Indiana County, we had a very smooth primary election. The general election remains to be seen. We think the number of mail-in ballots are going to increase, so we'll have to plan for that consideration for sure. But yes, other parts of the state we're not so fortunate in that regard. And I heard colleagues in the southeastern part of the state still counting a week after the election. This thing. I sit on the Elections Reform Committee for the County Commissioners Association, and they are constantly working with the folks from Department of State on how things can be improved and tweaks to the voting, the voting regulations and procedures. And it's amazing the amount of nuances to voting and voter registration and the whole thing. It's very complex, and what you see on primary and general election day is such a seamless operation because people are so well trained and so dedicated to making this work. But behind the scenes, there is a lot going on, a lot of eyes on it.
Yeah, it's the culmination of a lot of hard work by a lot of different people. Absolutely is.
Yes, definitely, most definitely. We give our thanks to those dedicated poll workers. I mean, without them, this wouldn't work. So we shout out to all the poll workers out there.
Let's say hello to your colleague, Commissioner Robin Gorman. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Terrific. You've heard some of the conversations we've had with Commissioner Keith and Commissioner Hess. Let's get your perspective on the way things are going right now in Indiana County.
You bet. Well, as always, it is a true tribute to our people of the county and their efforts and all that they're doing to help us through the green. We were in a short yellow phase to open back up, so that was a good thing. With regard to the budget, Chairman Keith has led us both very well in all of our county through a process since January. We did begin. Sadly to say, COVID hit, but we did not stop our efforts in working with our directors. And I give, thanks and appreciation and recognition to our county directors, as my colleagues have, because it's really their heavy lift. They know their operations better than anyone. They need to take a good look to see where any cuts or efficiencies and productivities can be made and work with us to try and meet a budget balance. Through COVID, I will tell you that it's much like the elections in some ways. People are experienced at what they do. They've done it a long time. We're grateful for that. But they've learned a lot through this, and they've managed their expenses. They've managed what they've needed to do a good job. And we've learned a lot. It's like being thrown into the fire very quickly, but you learn fast. And we've learned from our directors across the county of some things that as we go forward we can really improve and tweak and do better. I'm very proud of where we are. I'm very glad of the job that we're doing. I'm grateful that we're continuing the work that started pre-COVID, and we're taking advantage of what we're learning through COVID to do better on all of those things. I want to touch on something that Shireen said about elections. I got a call from the governor's office on Friday to just get an update on how our elections went. And she hit the nail on the head because they were just so surprised to hear how smooth Indiana County went as opposed to what they're hearing in other places. And again, I think it's a testament to the experience, the skills, all the pre-planning of so many that go in it, and particularly with all the unprecedented things they had to do and think about through COVID to make sure our in-person voting went well. So kudos to them. And I'm only going to mention one more thing, Todd, that my colleagues didn't, and that's that we continue to work on broadband.
Yay.
Because we have learned how critically important that will be to our future to get everyone connected. So we just are completing what we call a vertical asset study to make sure that we can get towers or have towers everywhere possible that we have high elevation to hook into. And that will show us a lot about where our gap areas are and that we can continue to address that forward. So I want to assure our county that even though COVID hit, we've been working really hard behind the scenes and trying to not let anything drop.
Absolutely. Well, that's good news. Okay, so far it's been me asking you, so let me just open up the floor because I'm sure that one or two of you might have something that you want folks to know about today. So let me do that. I'll just open up the floor. Who wants to tell us about whatever it is that is on the minds of our county commissioners today? Oh, boy. We covered it all, did we?
Coming on. It's hard to know where to start.
Yeah, well,
we're happy. The weather is so wonderful. Like the businesses are opening. Our farmers have started the farmers markets. There's several of those happening around town. Our Indiana County Education Technology Center is that project is going forward. Our conservation district's building is being built. The Indian Haven building is being built, and we're going to have a lot of dollars and technical assistance. We're hoping available for small business community, and even some programs aimed at entrepreneurial kinds of startups. So it's going to be an exciting year, and I'm looking forward to another, in the next 2021 and beyond, a lot of, good things happening. It's going to, like I said, it's going to be tough, but there are some really exciting things going to be happening in Indiana County.
Terrific. And of course, with funds becoming available, that's really important that folks fill out their census so Indiana County gets a share of it, right?
Good job,
Appreciate
Todd.
you mentioning that. Yep.
All righty, fill out your census.
Thanks for taking that one for the team.
I knew you were thinking it, you just didn't say it. Commissioners, all three of you, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, bud.
All right, we'll see you. It
Bye-bye.
is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM, 1.1 FM, 1.